Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the leadership show for today. My name is Remi Chukunye. I am the executive director of the Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa and the host of the leadership show. This afternoon is a special edition of the leadership show because we're using it to round off the Wumba International Women's Conference that we started on Monday. And today we have a special person with us this afternoon. And I'm happy when you hear what I have to say about her, you will stay glued to your screen so that you can have a feel of the wealth of experiences and knowledge that she has gathered over the years. So briefly, let me introduce our guest. First of all, like I said, in commemoration of the 2021 International Women's Day, the Ugumba Leadership Center launched the maiden edition of the Ugumba International Women's Conference on Monday, March 8, 2021, with a number of activities that will be rounded off this afternoon with a leadership talk show. So today we are rounding off the maiden edition of the Women's Conference with a fireside chat on the leadership show with Professor Remi Duyile, my namesake, the former Vice President of the Bank of America. She is an Amazon who finds fulfillment in empowering others and helping them recognize their own strengths and abilities. For over 17 years, she was the vice president of the Bank of America, where she managed over 600 financial portfolios of high net worth clients. Excuse me. Immediately after leaving corporate America, she established various organizations, including Premier Mortgage Solutions, a mortgage company, Image Consulting Group, an international consulting firm, and the Legacy Premier Foundation, a non-profit providing mentorship and financial literacy for women and girls. As a conference speaker and trainer certified by the John Maxwell Group, Jim Rohn and Les Brown, Dr. Remi's expertise in leadership are sought after around the globe. She has spoken throughout the continents of Africa, Europe, and extensively within North America, Canada, and the US, teaching financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and leadership development. Above all, let me tell you, Professor Remi Duyile is a member of the Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa's International Advisory Council. So on the show this afternoon, she will be telling us how the annual International Women's Day events are changing global narratives about women empowerment and quest for equality. Since 1975, it was adopted by the UN. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the show. And Mommy, you are welcome on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for that warm introductions. And first of all, thank you to you and thank you to the organization, the Ugumba organization, and what you're doing, because we've been watching and seeing all of the efforts being put in to invest in our young leaders and the community at large. So well done. Thank you for your invitation. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, we are broadcasting live from the Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa from our headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria. And it's a privilege to have her on the show this afternoon. You can imagine the profile I just read out. It's not easy to get her to sit down and talk to us. That's a great privilege, and we appreciate her for coming to the show this afternoon. So, Mommy, let's get started. We are talking about the International Women's Day celebrations. How far so far? So we want to know what has happened since 1975. This celebration was officially adopted by the United Nations. And then we can see that at the root of the whole matter is a quest for gender equality. That is at the root of this whole matter. So can you share with us some of the success stories so far?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is a very, very germane question at this point in time. At this point in time, when we can celebrate a few women that you all know, when we have the likes of our sister, mother, mentor, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, when we have the likes of Vice President Kamala Harris of the United States, and so many others that we know that we can't have time to mention right now. A lot has been done, but can we do more? Absolutely, yes. But there is progress. When I mention these names, I know you all can echo I know immediately that these are women, these are Amazon women, these are trailblazing women who have shattered all odds to be who they are, not just because they're just women, but because they're people who are competent and confident enough to be able to ensure that whatever work needs to be done is done efficiently, is done expediently. It doesn't have anything to do with the sexual orientation. That is immaterial at all. So I want to say that we still have ways to go, but are we making progress? Absolutely yes. And that was why I started with those names. When you hear those names, you can't help but to know that this is progress. The first the director general being a woman of African descent. I mean, this is someone who sits on the stage of the wall to take decisions that would affect every single human being, whether you're black, blue, or green. A decision that's taken there will affect you. Same thing in the United States. We all know how the United States of America runs, and the racism and all of those things that associated sometimes with the country. You can see there's progress being made when a black woman of African origin also, and because every black person to me comes, everybody came from Africa. That's another story for another day. But for right now, a black woman to be the vice president, that's huge. So progress is being made, but we sure can do more. And what you're doing at your organization are ways that we can do more. When our young leaders begin to see and hear opportunities that are out there and that people are doing it, people who look like them, trust me, our young leaders are so phenomenally intelligent that they can do all things once we create a platform like you're creating to such people. So thank you for this opportunity to speak to such people who might listen now or later.
Very good. Absolutely. Wonderful. Very good. Okay, now let's talk about education, the role of education. Now, according to the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, he said that education is the only human rights that has the power to transform. He said that education is the only human rights that has the power to transform. Now, so that means that education plays a major role in women empowerment. So my question is, we have seen a number of International Women's Day celebrations with different themes. So if education can help us solve all of these problems, why don't the women focus on access to education?
Absolutely correct. The women are educated. We have educated women who are still marginalized. We have educated women who are still being looked at as a second-class citizen, no matter where you get your education. The names I've just mentioned, they had to go through some stereotyping, even despite the impeccable education they got. Who would have thought that people will fight or deny or delay having Madam Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the Director General of the WTO? Who would have thought of that with her impeccable degree? So I believe that education, as much as the women are going into the education and getting educated, there are still ways that we're being marginalized. It doesn't matter how well read you are. There's this second class citizen mentality that people can put on you, and they don't come out and say, oh, your education is less than mine. It's through action, it's through policies. So what I'm saying is that the policies have to be fair and free for all. And then intentionality has to be made for our women to get more educated. There are still areas, parts of areas in Africa or in the world that education might be something that they think should be secondary for a female. No, everyone should have equal access to education. Not just the education, it's just the ability, not the classroom education. When I'm talking of education now, it's not just the classroom education. There are other types of education that can be created to enable, especially women, since we're talking about women, to understand that yes, you can have it all. You can be able to balance your family, your career. It takes a process. When people know that there's a process in doing this, then they're able to know that they will do their part. So what we're doing and what so many people are doing is the ability to share demonstrated best practices. I, by the grace of God, was in corporate America for 17 years, and my husband and I raised three grown adult children, and we were able to balance our home and the career with the support of a spouse who believed in my capabilities. So there are ways that this could be done. There has to be an intentionality and policies and processes that are put in place so that a woman doesn't feel like, oh, if I go and get married, if I go and have a baby, I won't be able to come back to a job. There has to be systems designed so that we can truly enjoy the beauty of womanhood, because that's what it is. It's created to be enjoyed. I mean, we are the mothers and sisters, we bring everybody to life. So if we bring everybody to life and we raise everybody in our own little way, then there definitely has to be a platform that we are intentional about to create for our women and our girls especially.
Oh, that's fantastic, fantastic. While you were discussing that, I had you talk about policy. I had you talk about deliberate policies. Okay, now you are Nigerian, even though you are resident in America and you have done a lot there. So let's bring you back home. Talking about the education system in Nigeria. Now, it's a pity to let you know that there's so much decay in our public school system. I don't know if you know about this. I don't know how long you've been away or when you came to Nigeria. But there's so much decay. As I speak with you now, we have graduates that cannot write their names very well. We have graduates that cannot write letter of application. I work with young people, and this is the feedback I have in that regard. So there's so much decay. What do you have to say? What is your advice to the government?
It saddens me when you present the state of our educational system in Nigeria, because once upon a time, we all grew in Nigeria before we migrated to our respective diaspora host countries. And I remember that public education was second to none. I had the privilege of going to a private school while I was in Nigeria growing up. I went to Comfort Nursery School, Hope Children's School, and for my secondary school, I went to a public school, Girls Secondary Grammar School, Bagada. I mean, you couldn't tell a difference between one or the other. And it saddens me to see that what we built so beautifully, that educated the likes of Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, and many other great women who started their basic education there, we don't have that structure anymore. So how can someone start and graduate and not be able to write? That would never happen in the old days, because I know I schooled in that system. Till today, I'm like, I wish I can remember all my teachers and know where to find them. Some words, when I just come up with it, I'm thinking, wow, my husband and I would jokingly say, these were things that our teachers taught us in Nigeria. So our foundation that is glowingly showing all over the world now, it's as a result of the seed that that was seeded in us growing up. So for such things to be denied or to be disrupted or decayed, it's a shame. And I don't want to put the responsibility just on the government. I want to put the responsibility on all of us as people. When people use a private school as an entity to maybe create another status aside from the public, there's nothing wrong with private school. But the public school system, there has to be the intentionality. Our leaders have to understand that if we are getting half-baked people out into the world, it's going to stall their future growth, whether be it male or female right now. And they're not going to live up to competency. And when they don't live up to competency, they won't be exposed. And then it's tendency for them to not see a big picture in their life and settle for less. And then comes security threats. Because when people have hopelessness in the horizon, why should they care about hopeful people? So if we begin to think of it from that perspective, we are going to do better. And that's what I'm challenging all of us, including those of us in the diaspora. I'm not taking, if you're an African or if you're someone, a Nigerian, and this is something that's important to you, there are ways we can leverage the expertise. Some of us are professors, some are in different fields. You don't have to be a professor to impact lives. Making an intentional effort to create systems, knowing that it's not all about the government, it's not all about the private school, it's all of us. It takes a village. And to say, you know what, we want our Nigeria back. We want our school system back, because those were the good old days. I tell you, I could put anybody on the call right now who were in those days with me. We still remember how much we wanted to be in school, how much we were in the dorm. We never wanted to go home for holiday. Right now, schools are shut every day, now and then. I never heard of anything like that in the 70s. So why can't we get it better? I know we have more population, but we're still same people. So we as leaders, and all our leaders, especially our elected officials who are they are the hem of affairs. They're in the executive, the legislative, the judiciary. We need to be having that intentionality, because we want to be able to recruit people. Who wants to recruit somebody who can write a letter? But if they're not taught how to do it, they're not going to know. All it takes is teaching. And I've come across some brilliant young people, same Nigeria, who are doing everything possible to make sure that they give their best, and their best stands tall with anybody in the world. I dare to say that. And that's what we need to see, to create such platforms so we can support such young leaders.
Good. Yeah, I also heard again, you spoke about you passing through the private school system in your primary and I think, okay, in primary school. Good. Okay, so as I speak with you, it is different. Today, private school system has become a business. They have turned education as a business. The private sector operators, they see it as business. And that is why for example, in the universities, those private universities, no matter your score in JAMB, you are admitted to study so long as you can afford the fees. Are you getting it? So these are some of the things that bother us, and these are the things that are causing the devastation in the system. Now, let me go back to the primary schools. You find out that because some parents can afford taking their children to the private schools from primary to secondary. Now, the public schools are dead. There is no teachers, no supervision of any kind, especially in the rural areas. You can go to, if you go to any school in the rural areas, you find out that you don't see anybody there. You don't see anybody there because the parents have taken their children to private schools. And that is a serious issue for us, because people that cannot afford to take their children to private schools, they are losing out. And then on the part of the government, the supervision that you and I are used to know about is no more there. So that is why the role of government in this cannot be overemphasized. So I want to know, even though you said that education, those private sector people can be allowed to run private schools. So how can we strike a balance? Because it's also affecting the quality of the education and the graduates that are being produced every day.
Thank you so much. I want to start by a quote from one of my mentors, John Maxwell. Okay. Everything rises and falls with leadership. Everything, not some things, everything. Once as leaders, these flaws are seen, that will be the first problem solved. But if we are in denial, then we will have a problem. And I want to address that education as a business, that cannot be the sole responsibility. Everybody wants to make profit in their venture. There could be a balanced strike, and people should be given the choice of how they want to invest in their children. But that should not be at the detriment or at the level of whereby we ignore the total landscape of the public school. The public funds are used for public schools. So if the public funds are extended to be used, there has to be adequate oversight. There has to be care put into the thoughts. Kudos to all the teachers. I give them a hand clap, a standing ovation in my heart. The teachers have to be taken care of. It is a thankless job, but guess what? God thanks the teachers. Because the teachers, you cannot be a teacher without having a heart to serve. You cannot be a teacher without a caring heart, because your commitment to your student is their success. You want them to be successful. So when they are not given the tools and they can't speak up to express what they need because they might get in trouble, then that's a problem. That's we're building a nation that we will not be able to rebuild or even surpass what we had experienced before. So the teachers have to be celebrated. The teachers have to be compensated correctly and treated with respect. It doesn't matter if they're in the rural area or the urban area or the city, wherever they are, because it's not where they are that matters. It's the knowledge that they're going to impart. So I challenge leaders who are at the helm of affairs for education, whether you're a minister of education in the states. When I was in the state, I worked for Ondo State for some years as a international relations and diaspora affairs special advisor to the governor then. And what is important is every state has their Ministry of Education. If every state can begin to make this a priority item, not just numbers, and then you put a lot of budget in your line item and nothing get executed, and you take who man no man thing out of this shenanigan, we are dealing with lives, you all. We are dealing with lives when it comes to education. It is not about feelings alone. We're dealing with real-time lives. Can you imagine the decay of schools now, like you just said, Remy? How those things have decayed, and we still have children who might never be able to afford private school. Who even says that all the private schools have the standards that's needed all the time? There has to be, you have to inspect what you expect. So if the government is putting funding and support system to the public school, we have to inspect it, and not just by lip service. When I was in the state, they had inspector who they call inspector who will go to the schools. They will have a special way of dressing to change things, but you still just notice that nothing gets changed. People are not understanding what we are doing. When we ruin our educational fabric, we're ruining our nation, and that is the problem that we are having right now in the African nations, in Nigeria, wherever. We cannot churn out competent people who, like you said, when they graduate can write. We all used to be able to write, even in our high school. We used to be able to speak and do great things. This is the same people. We're in the same country. So people need to take responsibility and understand that we're ruining our future as a nation if we shirk our responsibilities from education. That should be the topmost organization importance to anybody, because we're raising next generation. Not just raising next generation, we're supporting the generation who are investing to help us raise the next generation. To me, if you ask me, that is that constituency that should never be messed with. There should never be closures of schools. We're striking for this and that. People should by now know the right things to do. Because when we strike and close schools, those students, I don't want to say kids, my oldest is 30 something, so some of them I can say kids too, they are not going to be able to finish on time. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do on time. And not only that, when they're in school, they still get marginalized, especially you dare be a woman. Then some crazy people want to take advantage of you. They don't want you to use your brain power anymore. Now they all already start thinking that you have to compromise. All of those nonsense have to stop, because these people, they have children. I talk to friends sometimes and I say, listen, if we know the magnitude of this problem, some of us, send our kids overseas to school. Some of these kids want to come back home, but they don't know what to come back home to. They can come back to a job or create one. But if the system is porous, If security is a challenge, none of this elite would want their kids to come back, because now every day your heart is in your heart is in your hand. Every day you're worried. So why can't we get it right? And it starts with education, my brother. Education and healthcare systems. Those two things are going to help us go far, especially for women. We've got to get the system right. If we do not get the system right, we would not be able to pivot to that next generation. Look at now we're remotely doing so many things. Did you ever stop to think that there might be homes that don't even have computers, that might not have internet access? These are all things that government and private sectors should collaborate to do. Is it their fault that COVID came and maybe they're not able to do all what we need to think intentionally? Here, they gave people laptops. Some areas they created internet access, because same problem that we have in one country, we have everywhere. But you have to always understand that fingers are not equal. Everybody will not have all what they need to be where they need to be. That's why you have NGOs. That's why you have government. That's why we have organizations like yours, or diasporas who are doing initiatives. Let's support one another. We know number one problem is our education fabric has to be restructured. It doesn't take rocket science to know that. If a person graduates, they can't write. It happens here. Do we need to put the students in remedial so they can be cut up? Where did they miss it? They missed it somewhere. It's not that their brains don't work. Every brain works. I have not seen a dummy Nigerian in my life. Not yet. But we need to use those brains right to ensure that we give the best to our future, just like we were given the best to have a future that today we can represent our nation anywhere in the world. Everywhere you go, Nigerians are rocking it. Everywhere, any country, name it. So it's because I tell people the seed that was put in me is why I'm able to be the Remi that people think is all that. I said the foundational days of my life is what makes me to be that individual that you see today. Why do we deny that from our children? Why? That's a call to action for all of us. Let's get this done. We can do it. We are better than this. Let's do it.
Fantastic, fantastic. I see the passion you have for the sector, the education sector, and maybe because you pass through a wonderful system and you are a professor, that is written all over you. I think that's understandable there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are still talking about the International Women's Day celebrations. How far so far? And our guest today is no other than Professor REMI DUYILE. You know, the former vice president of the Bank of America. And it's been wonderful. You can see the passion in her, and you can see how committed, she is in making a change and a difference in Nigeria and in Africa. Now, before we continue, I want us to go to the comment section and see what people are saying. Okay, I have, okay, Postmos, okay, he said, this is good, this is good. This is good from Postmos Osuji. Then I have Ebere Mokeji. Ebere said, Happy International Women's Day, Dr. Remi. Okay. The next is Cynthia Nana. She's saying, nice to have you on board, Madam Remi. Okay. Okay. Then she also said, our education fabric has to be restructured. Yeah. Very good. She's concurring with you. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so viewers, we want you to come up with your questions and your comments if you have any as we progress. Now, let me take you to one important aspect of this discussion. We are talking about the International Women's Day celebration, which is about women, celebrating women around the world and, their quest for equality and empowerment. So now let me bring you to women and the political participation. Everything you just talked about, revolves around policy making, and that is government. And, so we want to know the women in politics, women and political participation. There is what we call affirmative action, which recommends, or recommended 35% of elective and appointed positions to be reserved for women. Now, I cannot say that in any country this is being practiced, to the letter. So why is this not realizable around the world?
I mean, that's $1 million question, but I'm gonna give a stab to it. It's practiced somehow to an extent. The reason it's not materializing the way it should be, is because of what we've said. The policies that are designed to help people to stand up and raise their hand and say, I want to run, I want to do this, they're not supportive structures. If you're a mother and you have young kids, no matter how good intention you have to be able to balance both. So if your employer or your setup doesn't support that, it's going to leave you to not be able to go to those midnight hour meetings and all the other stuff. So there's got to be some creative ways. And thank God for media now, for virtual ability to communicate. I really don't even believe that they should be judging, positioning people by the sex and all of that. It's about your competency. But the reason a lot of women are probably not able to be selected, or they're not part of the mix, is because of the environment. The environment creates a fictitious a setup that is not fair. Comments are made, actions are made. I mean, people just assume, just because you have your spouse, maybe you have decided that you want your spouse to be a homemaker and they're taking care of your family for now, and there's a woman out there who has built themselves and they want to keep going, and they have a supportive spouse, or they have support of God and people. You as a leader or man that is in that space should not limit or find ways to put roadblocks. So when there's time to find those women, if they have not grown through the process, you will not be able to find them, because they were never able to play to pay. I mean, they pay to play. They were never be able to. They were never able to be in your mix to do that post and pre networking that needs to be done. They were never given the opportunity to express themselves. People just assume. I remember when I was in Nigeria, people just assume because you're a woman, everything that you want, it's not about your brain power alone. And people forget that the same brains is what we have. I don't remember reading it anywhere that somebody is better than the other. And a woman who applies themselves, and we have to go the extra mile to apply ourselves. And when we're successful at it, leaders need to validate it. And I challenge my women out there, don't wait for somebody to celebrate you, please. Don't wait for somebody to fish you out. Keep building yourself. Keep investing in yourself and create your own platform. If people don't leave you a chair at the table, bring your own chair. Create your own platform where you are making impact. Be all about impact. Trust me, you will be found, and you will find yourself and raise your hand, and God will support you. But if that is not done intentionally, whereby women decide to see their capacity and go ahead and say, I'm going to apply my capacity to work, and go for it. And when they get in there, have a woman support system whereby you can share experiences of the likes of those who have served in government. Hopefully they will be willing to be a role model and mentor to give like a warning of what to expect. So when people get in, before they get in, they already prepare their mind. We have the knowledge, we have the technical expertise, we have it all. We just need to ensure that we're at the right place at the right time. And how can you be at the right place at the right time if you're not even invited? You won't know. So it takes us women to support one another. And for our he to she like you, Remy, and others, it's very important to create platforms where we can get people to find their passion, to find their power. People don't always know, especially women. We're very humble people. We have so many accolades. We still look at it because to us, we're like, okay, what's next? We can handle so many things. We're multitasking. So every woman does something. We don't hear the celebration as big as a man. We have to be intentional about bringing women and let their voices be heard. The 35, I think eventually is going to be 50-50 or even 70-30. The women are going to take on because we can do it. Let's turn the table a little bit. Let's see the difference that would make. And you can say, oh, women have tried it and they did this. I can mention names, but we're not going to go there. Men have done it too and have missed it. But give us a chance as women, not because we're just women, because we're smart, bright, beautiful, bold species. Not because of our sex. We can do it. Those women who can do it, let them do it and support them. Don't set them to fail. I know sometimes people will say, oh, we've created this. You create something and you don't enable it, that's not going to work. You don't create something and then you have so many other things that will be a stumbling block for those you created it for. You have to understand that family will always matter to women. That's always going to matter. So you've got to design family-friendly initiatives that will not make them to miss out on things. And that's why it's important for the women to be at the table. If the women are in legislative authorities, their voices will be heard at the table. But if they have a godfather and not God the Father, somebody who brought them, they're going to be answering to such a person. So their voices will never be heard. Let's get away from that shenanigan of just being a stooge, a representative of somebody who is speaking through you. Let's understand that the women, especially for those women who might be in office or are looking to get in office, you are a role model. People are rooting for you to be successful. So you don't need to worry about a godfather who brought you there. And I'm talking about local politics now in the world, not government. I mean, not initiatives, not the positions like our Madam Okonjo. I mean, that's an earned position. I'm talking of political settings, because those are the ones who determine our fate. They're the ones that decide on policies. Are we involved? Let's get involved. And let's support our women. If you see a fellow woman supporting who wants to do something, don't pull them down. You might not be able to do it. Good for you. You will be able to do something that they need to support you on. So let's have that more of a sisterly camaraderie in the spirit, not just the physical, because we can fake things a lot sometimes. But let's be real to ourselves and let's be transparent. And for the men out there, this is the time to let everybody come to the table. Everyone who can find solutions to our problems. Do we have problems all over the world? Absolutely, we have problems, whether it be in Nigeria, America, everybody has problems. Whoever can provide solutions to the problem needs to be invited to the table, or they need to raise their hand and go to the table and bring their own chair. And that's how do you do that? You create stuff that you are making impact, not for your pocket. The impact has to be for others. Somebody will see you, or you will see somebody, and you'll be able to make impact. And you build your own nation. Everybody won't have an elected official position. Nobody needs to be an elected official before you can be relevant. What we're doing right now with Remi and Ugumba, I don't believe that is a government initiative. So create a platform where you can help other people to hear voices and positive changes that will help their lives so they can dominate in their villages or their towns or wherever they are. It doesn't matter where you are. Let's create internet accessibility so that those who are even in the villages can also hear things. So that's where we come in as nonprofit to see what can we do to say that wherever people choose to live, they're also getting information, because information is very important. And if they don't get the information, they will be left in a cocoon. And we don't want that. I know that we're ready for this. The women are ready to take on the world, and we love our men. We're not going to put anybody aside. We're just saying, bring us to the table. We've got solutions, and we can make things happen.
Oh, fantastic. Choose to challenge the status quo. Thank you so much. Let me just, yesterday, while my boss, the president of Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa, Mr. Uchimusu, when he joined the session yesterday, he was marveled by the level of impact that the Ugumba Women's Conference has had on the lives of those that participated. So he quickly declared, that we are going to take this women's conference to make it physical so that more people can participate in support of the affirmative action. So he wants more women to be empowered with leadership skills that they need to begin to step up and then participate in politics and in leadership positions. So as part of the Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa, how do you feel about this?
Oh my goodness, I am so super thrilled. I'm like, yes, now I know I'm on the right organization, because I don't say yes to everyone that invites me, because number one, we're busy and you can't do everything for everyone. But it makes me feel like, wow, this he must be reading our minds. That's what needs to happen, because I have seen a lot of unsung heroes in my engaging with Nigeria. I do a lot of mentorship and a lot of things. I've seen a lot of unsung heroes. I've seen people doing extraordinary things that nobody could stop them, despite there's no light, no water, not this. So when you create what your company is creating, that is where we need to be. Women, we immediately engage with what we see or what we hear, and we can feel the intentionality when they see that this is meant for the pureness of supporting and creating leaders. Because it's not just running for office alone. When they run for office and get into office, they need good people who will be on their staff, right? Because the
Mm,
staffing is important. Your leadership is as good as people around you. And I learned that everywhere. Without good support staffing system, your leadership is just, you won't be able to see anything, because people will, the sycophants, they do a super good job of ensuring that you only hear what you want to hear. And as a leader, you better get yourself out there and hear what the grassroots is saying, because the grassroots is who made you. They voted for you. They're
mm,
going to break you if you're not part of what is happening. If you just surround yourself by just people who are cabals or who think they've brought you into office, only God can put you in office. He
mm,
will enable man, but God is the only one that can put you in office, and God is the only one that can take one out of office. So what you guys are doing, I say kudos, more grace to your elbow. And as a board member, I am super thrilled. And let us know how we can support and make sure that we truly don't just talk. I'm not all about talk. I'm a speaker, yes. Talk is cheap, but let's get action. And the actions can be little bits of here, things here and there, not wait till everything is perfect. Some people will hear what we're doing now, they will be inspired to take action. That's what I'm talking about. And whatever support system we need to give to those who are inspired, so they're not out there wondering, because we started it, we started the conversation. So we better be able to support them. And we feel good about it. And I know, Remy, you feel good. I always say, wow, well, you're doing a great job. And you always do more. Every time I think you're doing a great job, you even do more. And you have joy in doing it, because you see the impact. And that, can you imagine multiplying a Remy, you, by so many others? That's how it's going to start. And likes will attract likes. So what you're doing is amazing. I commend all of you for what you're doing, and know that your diaspora sisters and brothers are here. If it's a real deal that we need to work on to make impact, not just talk shop or a hidden agenda, which I know you're not, Ugumba. I mean, you guys are, you're ready about impact. Let's make an example of that, and let other people join and do the same. And we'll charge all our, I don't even know how many millions we have now. We are over 250 million the last time I
mm,
was counting. So
mm.
we can do it, guys. We can do it. And our he for she, we love you. Let's do it. We can do it together.
Thank you so much. I'm happy that before you accepted to become a member of our international advisory board, I'm sure you did due diligence on us and you found very good. Now, I don't know if you know about this. Since inception in 2018, we have been able to empower about 5,000 young entrepreneurs, including male and female,
Yes.
between 18 and 30 years. With training in business development and startup grants. So because this has succeeded, we said, okay, the women, which is an important component of our vision and mission.
Mhm.
We decided to launch the Ugumba Women Academy. So that's why we are doing all of this, the women conference, and now we are going, into scaling that up to do more work for women to be empowered with leadership and enterprise development skills, so that they can also, step up their games and take up political positions. So this is how we work. We have succeeded in empowering young people, and we want to extend that to the women. And I'm sure that with you by our side, this is going to work. Certainly, this is going to work. Certainly. So let me take you. I know you don't have all the time to be with us. You're very busy. So, but before I let you go, let's talk about rivalry among women. Rivalry among women. We hear that most women do not support other women in leadership positions. Because you hear them, the gossip mill saying that they got it by sleeping with the big boss or that. So they seem not to support other women that are in government. So what can you say about it? What can you say, and how do we get out of this?
Right. I would not agree with the school of thought that women don't support women. Of course, people will choose not to support you, whether they are women or men. But I agree with you that a lot of times people who have baggage they are carrying, people who have not found who they are and what they're designed to be, they might get into chit chatty talks and stuff. It's a sign of them growing up. And that's why the women center that you're describing, by the time the training and setups are designed to get to the mindset, because it starts all in the mind. And they begin to see that what Debbie can do, Rachel can do. The world is a global village, not just in Nigeria. When we begin to train them to understand the mindset and how far they can think, of course, some of the things they are saying and seeing might be right, but does that solve the problem? The problem is to have more competent women. So if you have your opinion about a leader and think that something happened that made them get what they get, show the world that you can get it the way that it's supposed to be gotten, rather than worrying about who got what. Because if you are judging people, you waste a lot of time on the judging. Invest in yourself. So yeah, you can be a foundable piece of work of servant leader when something is needed. Don't use your energy. I know a lot of young people that will listen. That's the advice. Don't use your energy critiquing. Invest in yourself first and find out where do you need to be to have yourself get better. It was speaking. I never liked to speak in the past. In corporate America, I had to go invest in myself because I knew I had information to share with the world. So there is always something that's deficient in us individually. Let's focus on that and let's give our sisters a chance. And for the sisters who are leaders too, let's have a humble heart to have an inviting spirit so that people can feel welcome and they will embrace you more. And hopefully whatever reasons and how people got into situations, that will be on them. But you can show to the world that you can get in with your brain. That is your brain power, no bottom power. And you just show that example. And when you're focusing on that example, then you won't have time to be worrying and debating because you only have 24 hours in the day in the first place. So if you're going to spend 8 hours of it wasting on some people who did something, maybe they didn't know better, or maybe they're just they don't have integrity. If you have integrity, you would know that your brain power is all that you need. And setups like we're having with the Goomba Women's Center, that will be part of our core course to ensure that people's mindsets are right. It's not about the money you have in your pocket. If you don't have integrity, no matter how much money you have, some people don't want to deal with you at all.
Okay, I am being so mindful of your time because I don't want to keep you. Okay, now, before I leave the political side, now I want to ask you about this. You find out that change agents, development experts, change agents, people that understand what development is all about, they eventually shy away from participating in politics. I've argued this in several places, in the development sector. Why do we have to stay away from politics and allow ruffians and people that don't understand what government is all about to lead us? Because as soon as they get voted into office, they make policies that will affect all of us, whether good or bad. So why are change agents shying away from participating in politics? Do you have anything to say there?
Yeah, I think that some change agents also need some knowledge. The political terrain is it's a different terrain. So you quickly find out that there's some puzzles that you don't already have, or the ones you have that you can't play right. So sometimes it takes some time for people to really understand the scheme of things and what they're going to get into. And to some people who have integrity, they want to really understand what they're getting into and how that framework would work with what they're doing already, which they are making impact. So sometimes it would take some time to do that. But again, like you said, I buttress your point. You need to come to the table and be part of the voice. Let your voice be heard. If you are doing it well, come to the table when you have the right ingredients to be at the table, and don't feel and don't feel like you can be suppressed. I mean, if it doesn't work, you go back to your work. It's people that are hopeless that will be so afraid to get into something. And if you're going there to serve in the first place, if you do it and it's not working, then you know you've done your part. But we have to come and let our voices be heard, so we can all bring the beauty, the brain, the impact driving spirit we have to the decision, so that the policies will be a replica of what we're doing, and the implementation. Because it's one thing to make policy, is another thing to implement. But that's another lecture all on its own. But that will be my take. People need to understand, count the cost and what is needed to take that responsibility, because it's a sacred responsibility to be a public servant. And some people might need to count the cost and understand what it is, and maybe understudy some people. And then when they're comfortable, they can just hop on the train and be a good impact driving leader that can change some of those people maybe that are so myopic in their four corners, to see that, yes, there's enough to do and there's enough to go around.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Let's go to the comment section and see what people are saying. It's been really wonderful. This is from, okay, this is from Darlington Ibekwe. Oh, what's that? Okay, okay, good. He's happy. I think he's happy. And this one, Whitney. Okay, good. And then I have Bilikisu here. Bilikisu, thank you so much, Honorable Remy and Professor Remy, for this session. I am so inspired, honestly. Very good. And she's still saying, my question is, how were you able to rise academically and career-wise and still, what did she say?
Yeah.
Okay, and still be
I can
able
see
to
it.
maintain balance in running your home? Okay, you will take that.
I can answer that. Can I? Oh, you want me to answer that, or?
Yes, you will. You will. Let me finish the comments. Then this is from Joy Omar. She's saying this lecture is amazing. Thank God I am not left out. Then Whitney Iganko is back. Be your own cheerleader. Okay, very good. And then I have Faith Balanku. She's saying, I concur with Biliki Sugarba. How do you strike a balance with academic and your business? Okay, and then this Whitney is saying, I totally agree with you, ma. Okay, so ma, let's go back to the question from Biliki Su. She's saying, how do you balance your academically and career-wise? So what do you have to say?
Sure, I'll make it very, very brief, because I know we don't have a lot of time. I'm happy to come back and even dig deep into that a lot, because that's very important for people to know. I've been in this institution of marriage happily for over 31 years, grown 3 children are grown here, doing well by the grace of God. What needs to happen is finding your purpose and praying to have a spouse that's supportive, that knows your vision, and you also sharing your vision. So I've enjoyed the support of my husband and my children, who understand my passion. So because you can only give what you have, everything you do, you have to create better in your home. You have to, I cannot handle lack of peace. I can't handle chaos. So what do? You go in with a servant's heart, even in your home. You go in and understand that you're unique. My own drive in life is unique because I'm doing so many things, but my home front is, by God's grace, pretty strong. Your priorities can never be out of place. So you try your best, and God blesses your work, and carry those who matter. You might not have a spouse. Those who matter, carry them along. Sometimes they won't see your vision right away. Don't get angry either. Just understand that you keep doing it consistently, they will see that it's a passion, and then they will support you rather than getting into a fight that, oh, you're not supporting me. God gave you the vision, not them. So allow your vision to blossom for them to see the value. It might be your family, it doesn't matter. When they see it, they'll come on board. If they don't see it, don't get mad at them. Just keep going. But for me, it's been a journey to be able to balance home and work. Even when I was in corporate America, the same thing. I started as a teller with an MBA and I resigned as a vice president. So it's just that ability to the glory of God, to have supporting family, especially my husband and kids, who believe in what I do and support me. And I have a balanced mind. I have a humble heart in all that I do. Any position I hold, I see it as a call to order, to serve, not to wear it on my head and show off. And I do me, I'm confident, but I'm not going to put myself on you. So if you do all of that carefully, it still doesn't mean it will be easy. It won't be easy. You might have to sacrifice some things. You might have to stay up late to do some things and still do your cooking if that's your family values. Or you might just need to understand that you have to be flexible, knowing that you have to meet each other halfway. And for me, it's been that. Right after I finish now, I'm going to hop on and do my teaching because today is my teaching day. But it's if you're doing what you love to do, you never feel like you're working at all. What I'm doing right now, I can do it all day long because I like to inspire people and to share stories that I know that can also get people to leave the sound of my voice and take action. Not to say, oh, I know Dr. Remy and I want to add more friends to my, no, even you might never greet me. Hopefully, whatever you've heard, you can take and use it to be better. In your heart, you would remember you've connected with me. That's all my purpose is in life, to just inspire, lead, and let people grow. I hope that has helped. If not, we'll come back and do another show someday and maybe
Yes.
talk more about the work-life balance so that my ladies, my sisters
Yes.
all can hear more tips. Maybe they have specific questions.
Very good. Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm so happy that you are connected with us. So you'll be seeing more of them, in due course. In future, we are going to arrange for more talks with them. Okay. I don't know if we still have time. As a successful Nigerian woman in diaspora, how did your journey begin? Did you face any challenges and how did you overcome?
Oh, absolutely. I faced so many challenges. And maybe if you've never heard my story, I always say my story is that story of a 4 strikes: Black, female, Nigerian, accent. Those were the strikes I faced in the 80s. And most of the time they'll watch and think, oh, because I'm Nigerian, that might be who will be doing something funny, but they never found me doing any of those things. So they gave me more support. And till today, you're always going to find people who second guess what you're about. But you don't need to worry about that. You just need to focus on what you're doing and be about your work and be about impact and make sure you have fun doing it. Because even when you're being about impact, if you're doing it for people to see you and they don't see you, you're going to be mad. But if you're doing it because you enjoy doing it, you're thankful, you're checking it off and say, oh God, thank you. We just did this. So for me as a woman in the diaspora, and like for anybody, there are those journeys, but I am never intimidated by anyone. By the grace of God, I've seen a lot of things. And my biggest pride is being able to be a mother, be a wife, and also to have raised 3 beautiful children with my husband who are doing very well in the world. Our baby is 25 and our son is oldest is 31. So all of those give me the strength. So it doesn't matter what you're bringing. I already have an army in my home who make me proud. So I don't need your distractions or disruptions because I already have the blessing of those who matter. And that's how I carry my journey. So that's why nobody can easily get through me or to me in a negative way, because I don't put my faith in people. I don't put my faith in my family either, but I know that they'll give me the constructive feedback. I put my faith in God and I get the support of those who matter all the time to do what I need to do. So that's
Good.
that's how I've
Good.
been able, and I'm still able to continue my journey.
Okay, very good. We're out of time because you have class. So finally, what is your expert advice to for African women who are struggling as we speak, who are struggling to survive as we speak? What is your advice? Just in Few seconds, yes.
Yes, thank you so much for my sisters, children, and friends out there who are women in Africa or wherever you are in the world, that you see a sign of struggling. These too shall pass. It's not going to last forever, but you have to look within, because what you need to go to that next level is within you. What do you have in your hands? Like my favorite book says, find what you have in your hand, look at way to serve it to others. You might not get paid right away, but serve it consistently as unto God, as unto man, and see how you derive passion in doing it. And through that, build it up. And I can assure you, your work will bless you, will be blessed. The holy book says he will bless the work of our hands, not who we know. So start looking at what work do you have in your hands to be blessed. And right now it's tough. I get it. I know. And I know that things will get better, but you have to be ready to get better with things. And that starts within you. Don't look outside of you. Look within you as an individual. What can you do for yourself right now? It could be just having a positive mindset right now is all you need to do. So that's my take. I need to hop on to my students.
Yes.
Right
Yeah, so thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking with you, and I'm sure that all of those that joined us, they have been empowered, to run with the experiences that you have shared with us this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to let Mama go because she has class, and it's been wonderful talking with her, and I know that in the next, when we call her again, she will oblige us the opportunity to be part of this. So from us at the Ugumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa, we want to say thank you so much, Dr. Remi Duyile, for being part of the show this afternoon. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you.